Today, we are going to talk about what seniors should avoid eating for breakfast because it can be a silent killer. Now, what are we talking about? Well, as a senior, as you're getting older, there's certain foods that you want to watch because they can create inflammation in your body. And inflammation leads to pain, it leads to disease, and it leads to accelerated aging. So today we're going to talk about 5 things that you need to avoid in the morning. It's very important. Now, before we get started, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below. I put out health tips every single day, and I don't want you to miss a single one of them. Also, please give this video a like. If you enjoy it, share it with somebody who needs it. Now let's dive right into these 5 breakfast foods that could actually be killing you. The first thing that you want to stop eating in the morning is eggs. Yes, I know a lot of people love their eggs. They think that eggs are so healthy, but they really aren't. Let me explain why. Eggs are loaded with cholesterol. Now, cholesterol can clog your arteries. Cholesterol is also responsible for plaque buildup in your arteries, which can lead to heart attack and stroke. You may be saying, well, wait a minute, they're good cholesterol. No. There's no such thing as good cholesterol. So when you consume eggs, you're taking in all this cholesterol, which can lead to clogging of your arteries and high blood pressure. And of course, if you have a family history of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart attacks, or stroke, you definitely want to avoid eggs. In fact, you want to avoid eggs at any meal of the day. But I'm talking about in the morning because a lot of people eat eggs for breakfast. There was a study done where they took 24,000 people, and they looked at their diets, and they wanted to see who had a higher risk of having a heart attack or a stroke. And they found that people who ate more eggs, 2 or more per day, had a 19% higher risk of having a heart attack or a stroke. So I would recommend avoiding eggs if you're concerned about your heart. And as a senior, your heart is probably the most important organ that you want to protect. You may be saying, well, wait a minute. Dr. Berg, what about the nutrients in the egg? That's a great question. Eggs do contain protein, fat, cholesterol, vitamins A, B, D, and E. But here's the problem. When you cook an egg, you destroy a lot of those nutrients, including vitamin B7, which is biotin. Biotin is a very important nutrient as you get older because it helps to maintain your hair, your skin, and your nails. So many seniors suffer from hair loss, thinning of the hair, dry skin, and brittle nails, and one of the reasons why that might be happening is because they're not consuming enough biotin. Now, if you are a vegetarian, eating an egg is going to give you about 30% of your daily requirement for biotin. However, if you are eating animal-based foods, organ meats, grass-fed beef, fish, wild-caught fish, shellfish, these foods are loaded with biotin, so you really don't need to eat eggs for a good source of biotin. I would recommend avoiding eggs if you have diabetes. Eggs contain saturated fat, and saturated fat can increase insulin resistance. Now, the next thing that you want to avoid in the morning is sugar. Now, I'm not just talking about table sugar, granulated sugar, because when you consume that, it breaks down into glucose and fructose. Glucose is sugar that your body runs on, but too much of it can cause diabetes, obesity, and insulin resistance. Fructose is fruit sugar, and it's okay in small amounts, but too much of it will lead to fatty liver disease, which can lead to cirrhosis of the liver and liver cancer. However, when I'm talking about sugar, I'm talking about artificial sweeteners as well. Artificial sweeteners like NutraSweet, Equal, Sweet and Low, these are made in laboratories. They're not natural. They're not food. They're poison. Poison that can alter your gut microbiome. They can lead to leaky gut syndrome, which can lead to autoimmune disorders like Hashimoto's, rheumatoid arthritis, and multiple sclerosis. In addition to that, they can lead to diabetes. One study found that drinking one artificially sweetened beverage per day, that's equal to 45 teaspoons of sugar per year. And all that extra sugar can lead to increased inflammation in the body, which can lead to cancer and accelerated aging. So if you're consuming a lot of sugar in the morning, you're starting off your day with a lot of inflammation, you're setting yourself up for a long and painful day, so I would recommend avoiding sugar in the morning and all day long. Next on the list is milk, dairy milk. Why do I recommend avoiding dairy milk? Well, milk is designed for growing calves, not humans. Milk contains growth hormones which can interfere with your hormones. In addition to that, milk contains lactose, which is milk sugar. And as I mentioned earlier, any type of sugar can lead to inflammation. Now, if you're lactose intolerant, when you drink milk, you're going to experience bloating, gas, and diarrhea. In addition to that, milk contains casein, which is a protein that has been shown to increase inflammation in the brain. This may be the reason why children who consume a lot of milk, they end up having more allergies and asthma. If you look at countries where people don't consume a lot of milk, like China, India, and Japan, you'll find a lot less people with asthma and allergies. You may be saying, well, what about calcium? What about vitamin D? Excellent questions. As we get older, we do need more calcium and vitamin D. But there are other sources of calcium and vitamin D that don't contain the inflammatory properties of dairy milk. I would recommend that you get your calcium from leafy greens, vegetables like kale, broccoli, turnip greens, bok choy. These foods are loaded with calcium. These foods don't contain lactose or casein. And when you consume plants, you're not going to have the allergic reaction that you might have with dairy milk. Next on the list is something that a lot of people are surprised at, and that is oatmeal. Now, oatmeal is considered a whole grain. And a lot of people say that, oh, it's so healthy. It's a great source of fiber. Yes, it is. But here's the problem. Oatmeal contains phytates. Phytates bind to minerals like zinc, copper, iron, and they prevent your body from absorbing these vital nutrients. Now, this is a big problem for diabetics because diabetics already have a hard time absorbing zinc. Zinc is a vital mineral that helps to control blood sugars. So when you consume oatmeal, you can block the absorption of zinc, which can lead to chronically high blood sugars. In addition to that, oatmeal is a high glycemic index food. It can spike your blood sugars, which can lead to insulin resistance. So if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic or you have insulin resistance, I would avoid oatmeal. Now, there are some types of grains that are lower in phytic acid, and that's quinoa, millet, and teff. Next on the list is yogurt. Now, I'm not talking about raw yogurt, okay? If you buy raw yogurt, it doesn't contain a lot of inflammation. It's very healthy. However, most yogurts that you're going to find in the grocery store are loaded with sugar, artificial sweeteners, and they contain unhealthy bacteria. Unhealthy bacteria that can cause gut inflammation. Unhealthy bacteria that can lead to leaky gut syndrome, which can lead to autoimmune disorders like Hashimoto's, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, and other autoimmune disorders. So I would avoid yogurt if you have any type of digestive problems. As a side note, if you do have digestive problems, I would recommend taking a probiotic to help restore the balance of healthy bacteria in your gut. Now, if you haven't seen my video on the top 6 foods that you should be eating in the morning, go ahead and tap on this video right here. Check it out. Get healthy. Hey, before you go, if you're benefiting from any of my content, I would love to hear about your success story. Please share it in the link down below.